What's up guys, it's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today we're going to do a little bit of a content video, just a bit about the Aether Ethers, sort of give you a few of my thoughts on them, how I think that you should be using these Aether Ethers. And I know that there's a lot going on the forums about, you know, these ethers are going to break the game and what have they done, why have they attached ether powers, but I'm here to tell you that it's nothing to be scared of. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. And in fact, I think that there are a lot of good uses for these new ethers. And as long as you're smart about how you're using them, I think that they're not going to break the game in any way. I think they're just going to be able to enhance your experience. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ether powers. So when you're deciding who you want to use these ethers on, I think that the most important thing to consider is really the ether powers. And the easiest way that I can show you guys this is if you go into your inventory and have a little look at costumes. Now, I don't have all of the heroes' costumes, so I'm not going to be able to cover all of the ether powers, but I'll be able to go over quite a few. So let's just start off with Mother North. So you can see here, if you do opt for the second limit break, she's going to get the power of special armor. Now, you got all of these listed on the Empires and Puzzles website on the forum, so you can go and check these out for yourselves. But I like doing things in game because it just makes it a little bit more relatable. So the special armor is at the start of battle. This hero gets plus 40% defense against special skills for 6 turns. And obviously, the bottom part where it applies to battles with multiple waves really isn't going to apply for PvP play, raids, wars, things like that. So I'm not going to focus on that much because I wouldn't particularly second limit break a hero just for the events, because events are pretty easy to complete without the second limit break. You don't really need it to complete events. So with this one, it's great that she gets plus 40% defense against special skills for 6 turns. The only downside to some of these effects is that you're not going to have them ready to go straight away. So if you think about a normal raid or a normal war attack, the quickest you're going to be able to get your special skills ready is within 3 turns. I mean, you might get it within 1 or 2 if you have a insane cascade. But I find that in most attacks, you're waiting probably 5 or 6 turns before you get the specials up and ready to fire. And having to wait 1 more turn to fire them off is not going to be the end of the world, especially with a hero like this who's running at slow speed. So, you know, would I consider second limit breaking Mother North for that special benefit? No, absolutely not, because it doesn't affect the battle straight away. And we're going to see that's the case with a lot of these skills as well. So in her normal form, she gets the defense up. Now, defense up, on the other hand, is a really, really good ether power. And the reason it's really good is that it applies from the beginning of the battle. So at the start of each battle, she gets plus 20% defense. It lasts for 6 turns. And that means that any tile damage or anything that's coming up against her is going to be reduced. Because if you look there, her defense stat is 1102. So add 20% on top of that. So she's going to be starting the battle out with like 1330 defense. Which is going to have an impact on the battle because the tiles that are going into her are going to do that much less damage. So this ether power is one of the better ones, and it applies on both offense and defense. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Really, you want to look for the ether powers on the heroes that are going to have an impact on the battle from the start. And you can test these out by doing raids and things like that with heroes that you want to consider using these ethers on, just so that you can see whether or not that ether power would have had an effect within the first 6 turns or not. Now, let's find some other ones. So this is a special boost. And again, it means that at the start of each turn, this hero's special skill deals an additional 30% damage for the 6 turns. Again, this is not going to be an ether power that's available readily from the beginning of the battle. Granted, with Magni, he's running at fast speed, so there is a chance that you'll be able to get this off a bit quicker. So within the first 6 turns, you are probably going to be able to take advantage of this special boost. But again, it only really applies the most when you're using him on offense, because you can try and plan around it and try and get the blue tiles that you need to fire him off within the first 6 turns. And then he gets that additional special skill boost. But it's just a once off, and it does take some time to get its effect going. So it's not going to be available from the beginning of the battle. So again, while it does look amazing, and it'd be great to have him hit with an extra 30% power, especially with nearly 1100 attack, it's not going to be ready to go from the start. So, buyer beware on this one. He does get the attack up in his original version, and you do need to use ethers to limit break the original version as well. I think it's 10 ethers for the non-costume hero, and just a single ether for each costume that you're going to level up, a single alpha ether, that is. Now, the attack up is being given to a lot of heroes, and at the start of each battle he gets plus 20% attack. So that's a pretty good one, because it's going to apply to tile damage as well as special skills. So it'll probably come into play within the first 6 turns, but definitely not as good as the defense up is. So far, defense up is definitely a winner. This rage effect is an interesting one as well, because while it looks really cool, it's actually not as good as the attack up. So the rage, at the start of the battle, the hero gets plus 15% attack, and he gets a further 1% increase every time he's hit during 6 turns. So the maximum attack increase rage can give would be 21%. Where the attack up, the regular attack up, just gives him 20% straight away at the start of the battle. So really not much between the two effects. However, the attack up is a better effect than the rage effect. So yeah, again, something to bear in mind. We've got another special skill boost and attack up there. And then we've got a healing increase. So with this one, at the start of the battle, she gets plus 50% increase for any healing received for 6 turns. Again, this is going to be one that's going to be difficult to activate. I mean, if you think about Lady of the Lake running at slow speed, you need to find 12 green tiles to use her heal. And then, if you find those within the first 6 turns, she's going to get an extra 50% increase for the healing received. It's going to be difficult to get that, to take advantage of that ether power. The special armor effect. So at the start of the battle, we've done this one. She gets plus 40% against defense against special skills. Again, it's going to be a difficult one to use, because the special skills aren't going to be ready to go straight away. Let's try and find some different ones here. Okay, attack up. I fed away her costume. Mana boost. All right, so at the start of each battle, this hero receives a small amount of mana over 6 turns. That's an okay ether power. Small amount of mana, I believe, is 5% mana, so she'll get 5% mana every turn over 6 turns, so a total of 30% mana, which is probably equivalent to giving her 1 extra tile match. But then, from the season 4 heroes, we've seen heroes like Professor Leidenbrock that start already with the mana increase in place. So again, that's nothing groundbreaking. Moving on, let's have a look at Finley's costume. He's got the attack up and revive. So again, the revive, if the hero is defeated in the first 4 turns of a battle, how likely is that to happen, that he's going to die within the first 4 turns? I mean, you've got to have pretty bad luck for that to happen. But he'd be resurrected with 1% health and you could just kill him with one more tile match. So again, I don't think that that is a good power, and even the attack up is not insanely good either, as we've been over as well. The special skill boost, now the regen, again, it's a very similar thing to the healing bonus, except that this one starts straight away. So this is a little bit better. At the start of each battle, she regenerates 420 health over 6 turns. This is pretty good for heroes like Gosek. I know that one of the players in our alliance has got Gosek. He's at level 90. So he has this regen skill. And now with a hero like this, where he's running at slow speed, it does definitely make sense, because if you're gonna, I mean, you really want him to try and stay alive, and the lower his health is, actually, the higher the benefit of his special. So in some ways it could be counterintuitive, but it does last for 6 turns. So if you, I mean, your main focus when you're going up against this guy is to try and take him out as quickly as possible, because he pretty much puts a timer on the whole team. So with him having this regen, that just makes it a little bit harder to kill him, and it does definitely help him survive a little bit longer, long enough to be able to fire off, and potentially, I mean, with those kind of stats, he's going to be destroying the whole team. So yeah, he's a pretty devastating hero, to be fair, but I do like the regen effect, so that is potentially one you guys should consider using, or should consider using your second limit breaks for. Now, if I can remember where I was, we'll get back to the other ether talents that we've got. So for Heimdall, we've got the Bulwark effect. Okay, this is an interesting one as well. So again, we did the comparison between the rage and the attack up. It's a very similar thing between the Bulwark effect and the defense up effect. The defense up effect is better because they start with 20% increased defense, and it stays like that for the 6 turns. With the Bulwark effect, they get plus 15% defense and a further 1% every time they're hit during 6 turns. So again, it can get up to a maximum of 21%. All right, so just so we're clear, the defense up is a better ether power than the Bulwark. The heal increase we've already gone over. Now we've got, with Oberkhan's costume, this is a good one, the damage reduction. So at the start of the battle, all damage received is reduced by 10% for 6 turns. This is another effect or ether power that's going to have effect straight away, because it's going to apply to incoming tile damage. So you want to be reducing the damage that you're taking as much as possible, and Oberkhan is going to be doing this. So this would be a good one to consider leveling for the damage reduction effect. The other effect for the regular Oberkhan is the counter-attack. Now, at the start of the battle, he would counter-attack with 60% of the damage received for 6 turns. Again, this is an effect that's going to start straight away, and it's going to need to be dispelled so that you can prevent your team from taking damage, especially if he's in the tank position. I would say that he's not the greatest hero to use, because when he does fire off his special, he only gives counterattack to himself. So they've been a little bit clever in terms of who they've given these effects to, and I think they've been quite selective with the heroes as well. Long may that continue, to be fair, because some of these heroes with some of the effects could have been super overpowered, but I don't think that they are in these forms. So counterattack is another good effect because it starts straight away. So far the top 3 effects I would say would be the counterattack effect, the damage reduction effect, and the defense up. And let's have a look and see. I think there's one more that I've missed out, and I'm not sure where I'm going to find it or who's got it. There we go. So yeah, I know the taunt effect is one as well, but I'll get to that in a second because none of the costumes I've got are taunt heroes. So Cademan, he's got the dodge effect. So at the start of the battle, he gets a 20% chance to dodge special skills that deal damage for 6 turns. The dodge effect, while it is amazing, again, it doesn't kick in straight away, and it's not going to have any impact against tiles that you're throwing at this hero. So I would say that it's not as good of an ether power as some of the others are. You just want to be really wary because, again, it's going to take 6 turns or 5 turns on average for you to find 3 matches, by which time you've only got to wait out 1 turn before you can actually attack, and this effect no longer applies. So yeah, the dodge is not going to be one of my favorites. And then again, we've got the special skill boost there as well. Are there any others? Oh yeah, the ailment immunity. Again, the ailment immunity, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but this is another ether power which is not going to be used straight away because heroes don't generally deal ailments. I mean, yeah, if you fire a special off against a season 4 or season 5 hero, they can deal an ailment to you and that'll block it. But the big ailments that are coming from special skills, they're not going to be ready to go for a few turns. So the ailment immunity, while it looks amazing, isn't so amazing in practice. And yeah, I think that's going to be just about it. So the other thing I wanted to sort of talk about was the taunt ability. I think, yeah, there's one more here. This is a pretty cool one as well. So the boosted regen, at the start of the battle, the hero regenerates 300 boosted health over 6 turns. It's not great because it's only 50 boosted health each turn, and that can be undone almost as quickly as it gets done. So I'm not so sure about that one, but it is a different effect. So yeah, I'm sticking by my guns, really. I think that, yeah, the mana boost is probably a close fourth. But yeah, the defense up, the counter attack, and the damage reduction really for me will be the 3 most useful ether powers. So if you are going to be looking at second limit breaks based on the ether powers that you're going to get, those will be the ones that I will say will be most helpful to you in both offensive and defensive play. So yeah, that's my little bit of insight. And now I'm going to show you guys who I chose to second limit break. So I am working on him at the moment. He's a work in progress, but I am just absolutely in love with this hero, and it is Sobek. So just look at those stats. I mean, already he's at 87. He's got over 1100 attack, and he's got nearly 2000 health and over 900 defense. And I can tell you this even initially when I've just had him at level 86, he has been just increasing my wins on defense to no end, which is excellent. And you'll see over here, he does get, when I'm finished with him, he's going to get the defense up. So at the start of the battle, he gets plus 20% defense for 6 turns. And if this figure, the 903, gets anywhere near, 950 maybe, by the time he's at the last level, I'm going to get an extra nearly 200 defense going on him for the first 6 turns of the battle. So on defense, it's going to make him harder to kill. On offense, it's going to make him a more survivable hero. So that was the sort of consideration that I went through when deciding who to use these limit breaks on. And I must say that I considered using them on maybe 2 4-star heroes, but I think that it's going to be better to start out using the ether powers on heroes that are on your defense team, but are also heroes that you use in attack as well. So you don't, the defense team is just a team that other people are going to get to play against, and some heroes that are static and that just stay on your defense team, you're not going to get as much fun out of second limit breaking them. So you've got to consider the fun factor as well. And this guy is, he's super fun to play with, trust me. So yeah, he'd be a very, very good, one of my recommendations, I would say, would be him. You know, I've seen other people limit breaking other heroes, second limit breaking other heroes. I mean, I did consider Ludwig as well, but this is the thing about the taunt effect. And I'll get to this now because I said I would. So with the taunt effect, if he starts with taunt at the beginning of a battle, again, it's not as useful because you can still throw tiles into other heroes. They'll still take damage from those tiles. The only real time when that taunt is going to be effective is if you have a special ready to go. And I believe, without looking at it, that the taunt effect only lasts for the first 4 turns. So you're basically just inviting any any heroes, if you do have your special and you don't have any other choice, to just try and kill your tank. But again, it's just too short. I mean, 4 turns seems like an eternity sometimes for a lot of effects when they go off. But right at the beginning of the battle, those first 5 moves, I would say, are going to be spent in charging up your heroes. So by the time you've done that, the taunt is going to disappear, and the regular Ludwig will take over thereafter. So while his stats do go up, he does get a boost from stats. I think that with these ether powers, it's much more important to consider that there is going to be more to limit breaking or second limit breaking these heroes than just beefing up their stats. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the new ether powers. So we will see if I end up doing any other videos about the ethers. But yeah, I just hope that you guys can take something useful away from this video. Please drop us a like, subscribe if you find these videos helpful, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.